started stuttering at a really, really young age. It was just before I turned 3, and there was no particular like original incident or anything that caused it. It just kind of randomly seemed to start for the most part, and then as I got older, it started to become like more and more severe. And then when I got to around age 11, I essentially became obsessed with trying to solve the problem. So I would spend hours and hours doing all kinds of research on the internet. I tried every therapy under the sun, pretty much, worked with people from all over the world, speech therapists, speech coaches, everyone. And the problem, it always seemed to wax and wane to some degree. So sometimes it would even, just completely disappear at times. But then, and then at some other times, it was just so severe that I was effectively mute. Really, like I was unable to say a single word hardly in many situations. So it was very like sort of situationally dependent, though, for sure. Like it was my family, more difficult with people I don't know that well, which I know is common to most people who stutter. So anyways, yeah, so I tried like a whole bunch of different methods for years and years and years. Basically, my entire life was trying to find a way to stop stuttering, and eventually I stumbled across Lee Lovett through a friend of mine who stutters, and I read his book, and it just intuitively just seemed to make so much sense. It just really just kind of fit with my observations on the problem and what he seems to kind of cause it to wax and wane. So we started Skype coaching. We worked together for, I think it was several months, and I found all of Lee's advice to be just fantastic. Like he just had so many good ideas, really, to solve the problem. And at first, with the crutches, though, it was like I kind of struggled to use some of them to a degree. I think I wasn't quite using them properly. Like I think the idea is that rather than planning to use a crutch, you essentially, once you're like about to get stuck, then you use a crutch to sort of avoid the block. But that wasn't exactly what I was doing at first, anyways. But one that I found to be the easiest to use, at least initially, was writing. So and at first I felt kind of really, really weird. Like it just seems weird to write instead of speaking. But then as Lee told me, it's a heck of a lot weirder than blocking and being unable to speak at all for many seconds at a time. So I started writing in almost all speaking situations. And the interesting thing was, as soon as I would start writing, I could instantly say whatever it was that I was stuck on. So yeah, so I did that for a few months. I think it worked really, really well. And then eventually, while I was reading some of the success stories on the Speech Anxiety Anonymous website, I I read Paul Brocklehurst's. I'm not sure if all of you guys are familiar with it, but he has sort of two main, I guess you could call them crutches. One of them is, it's very similar to crutch number one, skip the first letter. And then another one is called, what's it called? Oh yeah, orchestra speech, which is essentially the idea that no matter what, you you don't allow yourself to stop speaking, or you don't allow yourself to block. Like you almost imagine, like as if like that, uh, like even if you don't feel like you can say the word correctly, you still just say it anyways, even if you mispronounce it. That's kind of the idea. So I started essentially using those two methods combined. So, and I kind of modified them to a degree in a way that worked best for me. So what I initially did was I sort of like I would, like, let's say someone said, "What's your name?" And then I had to say Alex. So what happened in the past is I would go like and just be stuck like that essentially. But the idea of this sort of, I guess, the combination of these two methods is that as soon as I notice that I'm stuck at the, I just instantly sort of let that sound go and just move on to the next one without attempting to connect the two sounds. So then so it would sound something like this: Lex, and I would just go like that. So it's essentially the same idea as crutch number one, except what I found is that usually I had already actually said the first sound, so I didn't have to skip it. It was just a matter of letting the sound go and moving on to the next one. So I essentially switched from relying on writing to relying on this method here, and it worked. It really worked almost perfectly for the most part. Like I found that at any time, like no matter what the situation, anytime I found myself either about to get stuck or stuck, I could instantly just use this method and within a split second just get past the block essentially. And then as soon as I would do that, I would almost always be able to then say the rest of the sentence and usually the next several sentences without any sort of an issue. So it's pretty much like a near perfect strategy for me now at this point. And I and it and now it's been about, I think it's been just over a year now, or maybe a bit less, I'm not sure exactly, since I've been using this. And I'm still, it's like I'm still just walking on air. Like it's just unbelievable. My like this problem that I struggled with for like almost 2 decades is just completely gone now. Like it's just absolutely unbelievable. So I just want to thank Lee for being willing to coach me and working with me on Skype for free. And I want to thank him for all of his fantastic advice and for setting up this fantastic organization. Yes, I think that's just a fantastic idea to have people who are self-cured their stuttering helping others do the same. I think ex-stutterers are the best people to give advice to people who stutter. And I think it's just a fantastic organization.